What is your comorbidity? You know, they say as you think, so you become, and as your thoughts are, so is your world. So this is my question for you today. Hello, I'm Sandhya and welcome to Dynamic Living. As we take in news, as we take in data, our brains are constantly filtering information out. And how those filters are set up in our brain determines how we process all of the information that's around us. I'll start by pre-qualifying that what my brain has picked out is because of my particular filters that I have, my predilections, so to speak. And two things really stood out for me in the last few weeks. One, that on the 14th of May, the WHO announced that the virus wasn't going to go away anytime soon and that we would probably have to learn to live with it. This gave me a lot of food for thought. Two, that close to, by some estimates, 90% of actual deaths as a result of COVID-19 were because the patients suffered from one or more comorbidities. Now, you may have seen this word, but this really jumped out at me. What exactly does it mean? Without going into a very technical definition, essentially what it means is one or more other pre-existing conditions that a patient may have that worsen the odds of him being able to fight a disease and indeed increase his mortality chances, as we have seen in the case of the deaths because of this virus. I looked at this a little bit more, and let's take a look at what these comorbidities primarily are. The top ones are hypertension, diabetes. Others include mental illness, tuberculosis, lung problems, other sort of lung problems, COPD disorders, and kidney problems. Now, the percentage of how much this is inherited and how much hereditary factors impact the manifestation of these conditions ranges from like 3% to 70%. But the fact is that even if you have a very high predilection for a particular condition, there is still a lot that is controlled by your lifestyle, and indeed in many of these 90% or even 100% of these could be reversible through a healthy lifestyle. So many of us know these things theoretically, but having worked in wellness for so many years, there's one more thing that I can tell you, that very often, even if a person gets an unhealthy fitness report, they will often sort of panic in the first few days. They might commit to like a yoga class or commit to a nutritionist for the first month or two, and then this falls apart. Now, why is this happening? This happens primarily because the threat that we see is very long term, or indeed it is a threat that we can't actually see. As in the case of the COVIDians of today, right? We cannot actually see a virus. We don't actually see anyone in our immediate vicinity getting infected. And so we indulge in risky behavior that in turn not just sets a bad example, but in fact could make us potential vectors for the disease. And this is not about people that are helpless or stranded or do things out of absolute necessity and because they don't have any other support. So my question for you today is that we have a case where we have one, clear and present danger. We are seeing this threat everywhere, and we are seeing people, almost all of us know somebody that has been impacted one way or the other, if not by the virus itself, by some sort of limiting condition that's put them into worse state of health than they already were in. Two, we all have some kind of comorbidity or the other. And by the way, this includes mental illness as well, or just not great mental health. Therefore, knowing all that we do, the question we need to be asking ourselves is, what are the steps that we're going to take to mitigate our comorbidities? What are the steps that we are going to take in order to be truly as virus-proof as we can? A lot of it is not in our hands, but a lot more than we think is actually in our hands. 5 points to remember. Number one, this does not happen without an investment of time, effort, and in some cases, a small bit of money. But the payoff is in the longer term, and the payoff is 100% guaranteed. So this is not the time to necessarily just rely on your goodwill and that you'll get there, or that tomorrow is a great day for you to start investing in your health. Because number 2, the danger is clear and present, like I said. So the urgency is absolutely now. Number 3, no matter how unhealthy your lifestyle, your physical, emotional, mental fitness, give yourself a full year to clean up. Unless you're morbidly obese or suffering from really severe mental disorders, anything that you invest time and effort in will give you a drastic change, will give you big, significant, and much more importantly, sustainable change over the course of 12 months. So take it slow, but take it steady. Give yourself 1 year. Number 4, you may have caught this in the last point, but the most important aspect is sustainability and building long-term habits. Because wellness isn't something that you can just do for a day or for a week or just to get a six-pack. True wellness that's going to keep you relatively disease-free and in relatively good health, mentally, emotionally, and physically, is one that's sustainable, is one that becomes a habit, and is not going to give you everyday pings of joy and pleasure or instant gratification. Number 5, if you put in these small investments, your benefits will start to show from a few weeks on, but that these benefits will continue to grow and stay with you lifelong. Again, this isn't rocket science, but I see this with people who've resisted meditation, for example. Initially, it is hard. There is a saying that which is bitter in the beginning will become sweet in the end, and that which is sweet in the beginning will become bitter in the end. Even 2 weeks of meditation will start to bring you more focus, a calmer mind, and greater sense of well-being. The same is true for a few weeks of exercise as well. Try it and you might like it, as Marvin Gaye says. I leave you with an old Arabian proverb. He who has health has hope. He who has hope has everything. Be well and stay safe. Thank you for watching.